Marriage, I saved this for last because marriage is really important, and Sister Omila touched on it. I thought marriage was, our tradition is really interesting. And we've been practicing this, and I don't even think we understand how, detailed it is as it relates to the scriptures. So we know Abraham, the story of Abraham, when he sends to look for a wife for his son, Isaac. Now that's a custom that we always have followed, is that your father, or at least someone, an elder in the family, goes to the village or goes somewhere to look for your spouse, right? It's not like today where we just get up and go find who we love and bring them home. We can't do that. We always, the father, the elder of the family had to go and send. He would send for a servant or go and look for a spouse or a wife for you. As you see in that chapter, Abraham wanted to make sure that he married within his tribe. He didn't get, and that's something that's, the Akans and Negroes, it's not really, usually a lot of the times I remember my mother would always tell me, marry a Fanti. I'm like, why, you don't like other ethnic groups? And it's like, oh, because I thought the woman that came from the Volta region, the Elwes, I thought they were the beautiful woman ever. But Volta is like hours away. So she's like, I'm not trying to go all the way to the Volta. that was so marry within your tribe. You're not trying to go all the way over there. So it's like these type of reasons for marrying within your tribe. There's nothing, no hatred or anything like that. It's just, just certain things, because when you marry someone, you're marrying their family, which means you're always going to be there, and she don't want to go through that house. But like Sister Omila was saying, we have something called the knocking. Call. That's what we call it. Call. It's called the knocking. And she touched on it, how, Yeshua also speaks about the knocking. And when you read it, or you see how, I wanted to show videos, but I knew we wouldn't have time for all of that. With the servant, they went to, they go to the woman's house. What was her name? The wife they found for Isaac? Rebecca. So they go, she was the one at the well, right? Right. So you go over there and you do the knocking. The knocking means that, you pretty much size her up, right? Decide, you take certain gifts, to the family, and you tell her to wait. That's what the knocking means, right? It literally, you tell the woman to wait. A lot of the times, that means the man, sometimes they leave the country, because the whole idea is to go prepare yourself for marriage. Right? You got to come right. You got to come correct. But I'm not right now. So I'm knocking. Right? And if you open the door, that means you're going to wait for me. That's right. And that could take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months. It doesn't matter how long you're supposed to wait. Right? Similar to Yeshua telling us that he's not to wait. Going to prepare the bridegroom to come and marry the bride. Right? Coming back. You see the similarities in all of this. Again, these people are doing this but have no idea or notion of the scriptures. Okay? So they do this, and then eventually the man comes back with his family to the woman's house. You see the similar story with Jacob, Leah. The reason I brought Jacob, Leah, and Rebecca. We know that Laban tricked Jacob. And what's interesting and what we do is every time we do an engagement, now this is an engagement, which is pretty much the traditional marriage in Africa. What happens is during the ceremony, and this happened with my brother who got married, and I didn't know this at the time, but it was weird because during the ceremony, you bring all your gifts and stuff. You got to come right. You got to come with all the dowry, you bring all these gifts and money and gold and all this stuff. And then the woman's father What happens, they bring one woman covered, her face is covered, her hair is covered, and they bring, and you're supposed to, if you're the man, and you're supposed to be like, all right, that's not her, right? And then they're like, all right, well, bring some more money, we'll go and get the right one, so and they do this, right? And so, and then they bring another girl, covered up or whatever, and you have to, really discern, like, oh, is that her? No, that's not her. And then, all right, you playing games, bring some more money, all this type of stuff. And then eventually, but what's interesting is I bring that up because that's the story you see with Jacob, how he got tricked, right? And this is something we do to this day without having any understanding or even knowledge that this is all in the scripture, right? And we do it, it's a fun time during the engagement. It's like really fun if you're in it because, we just keep going back and forth. Usually it's maybe the sisters of the bride. So you saw how that could happen. And we also do it during the day. We don't want to do it at night when you might get tricked. You know what I mean? So you got to do it during the day. You know what I mean? So you got to know who it is. And it's eventually the real woman comes. She stands there. Okay, that's her. Then they reveal her face. And then what happens is they ask her, the father, this is an embarrassing time for the woman, because at this moment in time, the father and the family, pretty much ask the woman, okay, this man brought all this stuff. Should we accept it? And that's a question that was asked to Rebecca as well. If you go back, because Rebecca had to accept to go. It was consent. That's right. Right? So the woman at this moment, says yes, right? And then that means, and then the father, all of them get, everybody's like, hey, all this stuff, and the father's like, okay, so that means, what, you're leaving us. You actually leaving us right now. You love this man so much that you're willing to leave us for him. And then, she leaves, but she always has to leave with a servant in the house, the father's house. They don't go alone. They go with someone from the father's house that she's familiar with in case of anything. And so that's how it goes. I think that's really interesting.